Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is a look back, where we go back and take a look at videos that I reviewed or games I reviewed on video a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago, and we tell you what I think about them now. So let's get started here with last year. So first of all, we have Ulanga. This is a racing game about racing boats. It's just so boring. It's a really boring race game. Not worth your time. Tellstone's King's Gambit. This one got, some people really loved this game. I hated it, really. It's from the Riot Games, the same folks who gave us Mechs vs. Minions. I think they were thinking, hey, we made a big game, let's show our diversity and go down and make this really small game. Very high production, but it's essentially memory moving 7 things. I didn't find it interesting at all. In fact, I really didn't like it. Break-In Alcatraz. So the last two I rated a 3. The Alcatraz here is a 5. This is a escape room game where you're opening up Alcatraz. Physically, it opens up and you get in smaller and smaller and find things and clues. I really thought the puzzles here, first of all, it plays with 1 or 2 players at most, and it requires really good eyesight for a lot of it, and because you have to pick things up and maneuver them. There's some cool concepts here, but I just didn't enjoy it. Then Fort, a 6 out of 10 for me. Now realize I am the lowest of all the Dice Tower people here. I was told quite extensively in the comments that I don't know what I'm talking about. It's a little bit of a deck builder, but you lose the cards you play. I don't know, for me it just felt okay. It was just something that I just was not really in love with. I didn't dislike it per se, but I also wasn't really charmed by it, although the artwork is very charming. What I did like is the Pop-Tarts game, 7 out of 10. Now, don't get me wrong, this game is super light, one of the most welcoming games out there, but it's Pop-Tarts and it worked. So that was a fun little, simple collect Pop-Tarts game. Camp Pine Top, another 7 out of 10. This is about getting badges in a camp, moving around through a camp. My first play of it, I was like, but as time went by, I enjoyed it a little more. Now we're jumping up. I reviewed a lot of games I really liked a year ago. First of all, we had The Search for Planet X, 8.5 here. A deduction style game. Just a really solid, excellent, looking for a mysterious planet. You use an app. Everyone has the same app on their phones, and you're typing in information and figuring out. Really cool. Then another 8.5, Tammany Hall. This one has really moved up for me. It's mean. From Panda Stars Games, but wow, do I like this game. Especially at the full player count of 5. Area control, fighting back and forth. Then Super Skill Pinball 4K. This one's a 9 out of 10. I love this. It's my favorite roll and write at the moment. And I mean, part of it is because I love pinball. And this game does a really good job at bringing pinball to life. You can play it solo, you can play it with other people. The next version of this is coming out soon, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing it. And then a 10 out of 10, the remake of Project Elite from CMON Games. I love Project Elite. I love the idea of just fighting off waves of aliens. And this one has great miniatures, lots of different, they came out with lots of expansions and things. It's just a super entertaining game. 5 years ago, whew, a lot of games from 5 years ago. Here we go, 4.5, 12 Days of Christmas. It's a ladder climbing game. There's actually several games called 12 Days of Christmas. This is not one I really thought was interesting at all. Masmorra Dungeons of Arcadia. 5 years ago. That was kind of interested in this one. Kind of a follow-up to Arcadia Quest. It's in the same universe. But man, the monsters were dice, which I didn't find interesting. The combat was okay. There's a lot of dungeon crawlers out there, and I did not enjoy this one. Kumoho Gosha. This one I dropped a point from 6 to a 5. And that's just, this doesn't really appeal to me as much. It's a very abstract game about trying to maneuver and push people out. Yeah, it's okay at best. Then we have Pop the Pig, a 5.5. This one here is, you know, putting things into a pig till it pops. It's hilarious, but when you're done with it, it's not really that strong of a game. Star Trek Ascendancy. I remember when I initially reviewed this, I said it's a 5.9. That's so close to me liking it. At a 6, and it's now a 5.5. But I don't know that I'll ever play this again. I know it's a grandiose, it's the Twilight Imperium for Star Trek. It just takes up too much table space, it's too long, and it's too involved, and that's for 3 players. You add more than that, it's going to go even longer. Very strong Star Trek theme. A lot of people love it, but I did not care for it as much. Then Let Them Eat Cake. This is a 6 from Osprey, just trying to get out of being executed at the guillotine. It could have looked nicer. Kerplunk. Yes, I reviewed a game from 1967. Another 6 out of 10. I'm still amused by Kerplunk. Yes, you're just pulling sticks out, pick up sticks to see marbles fall. But I don't know, there's something about it. I have a soft spot for it. Ta-da! Another 6 out of 10. This is just roll dice as fast as you can to get magical combinations or combinations to cast magic spells. If you like speed games, yeah, it's okay. What's in Ned's Head? 6.5. Yes, this game is as grotesque as it looks. A big, giant, stuffed head that you reach into the nostrils and pull things out of his brain. You're trying to feel around. It's like, oh, this is a... I don't remember what the stuff was in his head, but you're using feeling like, oh, this feels like a turtle, and this feels like a hot dog, or whatever. New Bedford. This is another 6.5, although I will say with the expansion, it goes to a 7. New Bedford is a game about whaling and that whole concept of the eastern coast. There's some really cool concepts. I just didn't think there was enough variety, although the expansion adds that. Assassin Con. I dropped this one down from a 7.5 to a 7. I like Assassin Con. This is very minor. Just you're at assassins and I'm trying to outthink you, and each person's hunting somebody else, and you're trying to figure out who's hunting you. It's a silly little game that I think works well, although they should have had a double-sided board. Minuscule. This is a little racing game. I mean, the name kind of tells you that. Another 7, but a fun little one. Agricola Family Edition. Another 7 out of 10, but realize this is not really Agricola. This is a very, very streamlined, slimmed-down Agricola that, even though I like a 7 out of 10, I don't think anyone ever really plays this anymore. This is one of the last huzzahs of Mayfair games. Mr. Lister's Quiz Shootout, 7 out of 10. I actually still have this at my house because I pull the questions out where you're just trying to guess things on a list. It also had a little bit of wits and wagers and has one of the coolest boxes in the business with holes that go right through the box. Council of Blackthorn, a 7.5. This one is a game in which you're trying to get different influence in different regions. I tend to like those kind of games. You're trying to influence different spots. This one plays really well. I'm surprised it hasn't got more love. And then Shot and Totten, a 9 out of 10. Fantastic 2-player game. I've always liked this one. Shot and Totten was remade into Battle Line. This version, which I reviewed 5 years ago, was the remake of that from Yellow. Really good game. 10 years ago, I took a look at Quack in the Box about being a doctor. It's so terrible. Let's not talk about it. 2 out of 10. 7 gets another 2. This is just grab cards as fast as you can. Really bad games. Potion Making Practice. This is a 5 out of 10. This is made from the same folks who brought us Evolution. They made several games. Potion Making Practice is just one of the ones that was okay. Collecting potion stuff, not worth your time hunting down. Redakai. This one I gave a 5.5, dropping it to a 5 here. I really wanted to like Redakai. It had clear cards, and you had these guys fighting each other, and you put cards on top of them. I think, it's hard to remember, I think it was a CCG. I got this to play with my daughter. I was like, yeah, and we found the game was okay. Wayward, a word game from Tom Jolly, 5.5. There's so many better word games out there. Splish Splash, I was taking a bath. This is a game where you're actually dropping pebbles down to make water droplets fine. A good game for kids, 6 out of 10. Hike from Moustache Games. They never really did much. I remember going to the Origins or Gen Con where this was like released, and it was like, woo, another like trick-taking or card-playing game. It's forgettable though. That's Hike. Tiebreaker from Bezier Games. A deck of cards in case you have a tie. He made Start Player, which works much better. Tiebreaker, I gave it 6 out of 10. It's okay as a lark, right? But really, how many times do games come with a tie? They shouldn't, because ties are great in clothing, but bad in games. Got 'em. This is I gave a 6.5. It's an interesting game where you're trying to place walls down to trap your opponent. Then we have Reverse Charades Jr., 7 out of 10. Reverse Charades is a group of people get up and act out, and one person's guessing. Really good, great for kids. Adventurers, the Pyramid of Horus. So this one I dropped down from an 8 to a 7. I like the Adventurers games. The first one's better. This is the second one. The Pyramid, we're dropping the blocks down. It's an interesting idea and it's fun, but it just wasn't as good as the first one, but it's still a lot of fun. And then 1955, The War of Espionage, another 7 out of 10. This is a small little game. Has some similarities to Twilight Struggle, but in a smaller scale. And I think it's worth checking out if you can find a copy of it. And those are the games I reviewed 1, 5, and 10 years ago. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Look Back on the Dice Tower.